A lot of people now who are not from this country, most of the times now they are a kind of worried to know more about this country.
Yeah.
What is some of the things people don't know about this country?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's some of the things which tends to transpire, which obviously happens under carpet about this country. I mean, number one, you tend to understand that there is a high unemployment rate, but what causes that? The root cause of that. I believe that there's no many people who understand that, like from a root cause problem point of view. So that's what I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If I may ask, what is the cause of that unemployment?
The cause of unemployment, corruption. It's number one root cause of that problem, and number two, obviously, is laziness from some of the people. I mean, most of us have degrees, but we are looking for what you'd say the actual cause that we studied for, instead of using the education that we studied for into venturing into something else.
Wow. Yeah, I got that. That is to say that maybe most people now who are well educated, instead of them now to use that their education to invent something, they are looking for a particular job for that.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
I love that. Then what about you? What are some of the things people don't know about this country, South Africa?
Okay, so obviously everyone knows that South Africa is a very diverse country. We have a lot of people from South Africa and out of South Africa, and the entire population was actually made out of people that are not from South Africa. So what a lot of people don't know about South Africa is that the diversity that it's brought in has also put us at a disadvantage as South Africans who were born in South Africa. But on a lighter note, I've realized that a lot of South Africans have actually opened up to the idea of venturing into other countries, importing from other countries and creating their own businesses. So he is correct by saying that people in our country, they are educated, but they don't have any jobs because of corruption, which is true, because you cannot get a government job if you don't know anybody. You understand? Yeah. So I feel that on a lighter note to what he's saying, a lot of people are actually venturing into business that will help them sustain, because our economy is really not doing good.
I love that. Then you see that maybe if we are listening to news and based on the protest that is going on about foreigners, do you think like maybe all those protests are right about foreigners, they should go?
Look, let me tell you something. At some point, we were one continent. We need to remind ourselves that we were one continent, which means we were able to operate and generate in just one country, which was Africa, not Zimbabwe, not Zambia, not Tanzania, but we were just one. So if we will allow ourselves not to be driven by the, what do they call this thing, where the meeting that happened in Berlin is called the Berlin Conference, where 15 of the European presidents came together and then they decided to chop Africa apart. So if we can go back to that, then I believe we can somehow come with the most perfect solution in terms of not looking ourselves as you are Zimbabwean, I'm South African, you are Zambian, he's Tanzanian, but you can come to a solution of coming with something called a United States of Africa. Listen, just to add on that, look, we are all for what is called a skill set. So we want skills, right? Let's say we continue with the Berlin Conference type of perspective. We want skill set. We all want skill set. If, let's say today, I decide to go to Zimbabwe, right? I want to contribute and add value in Zimbabwe in terms of making sure that Zimbabwe advances. I do not want to make a certain contribution which increases their crime statistic. So if we can at least try and contribute in terms of that perspective, then I believe no one should be backing every other person. Then we can come up with something solid, man. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
So I also share the same sentiments because the whole idea of foreigners that need to go out of South Africa is because of the crime rate. Because we cannot run away from the fact that majority of people that sell drugs and things like that in South Africa are from other countries. We're not saying that South Africans don't do it, but it comes mostly from other countries, and now that kills the people of South Africa, our youth, the economy, and everything else. And like I said, South Africa is a beautiful country. There are opportunities, but the crime rate that is coming from other countries is really, really destroying our country. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That is to say that maybe based on what you guys now just said now, not like maybe South Africa don't want foreigners to be here, just that maybe the way foreigners are doing things are not corresponding to the way it's supposed to be
Not
here.
even all of them. Not even all of them. I mean, a certain portion. Obviously, in every other bag of potatoes, you'd find one or two rotten potatoes, right? So we are not saying that a majority of foreigners, they come here and they contribute to crime. That's not true. Some of them, they contribute to education. So you see, let me tell you something. Where I came from, I was taught by majority of foreigners who are lecturers. They were excellent in terms of education, very, very excellent. But then again, you find a certain people who obviously contributing to certain crimes which we do not want. Obviously, just to add on top of that, what obviously would want to see is to formalize. Look, formalize by in terms of migration. If there are some people who migrate to South Africa, obviously they need to have papers and stuff. So let's just try and focus on that, just to make sure that most people who come here, they come here with true intentions. Because obviously, if you come in a certain form of way which doesn't contribute to true intentions, there are some intentions which you are going to contribute, which obviously leads to crime. We don't want that. So not all of them are bad. I will say that not all of them are bad. There's one or two obviously which are implicated in drugs. There's one or two which are implicated into selling poor qualities of food. There's one or two. So you'll always find that, but not all of them. But if it was according to me, it's one Africa for all.
Wow. I love that. I love that. Now, most people now thinks like South Africans don't travel out. Is this true?
Most South Africans don't travel out. Look, look, I believe at the times that we live in, I would say most South Africans do travel out now. It's only a few people who do not, but most they do now, because obviously the standard of living has changed. So I believe most people have money now, so they are able to expand themselves into going to other countries, being adventurers and stuff. So I would say yeah, but then again, at the end of the day, you'd always find a certain majority which comes from rural settlements who doesn't have that kind of money into paying tickets and stuff. So obviously we have to take that into account. Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
Well, I also think that most South Africans are moving out, not necessarily because they are struggling in South Africa, just like the other countries, but they mostly move out to venture out in business, try out a new lifestyle and things like that. But when it comes to people wanting to move maybe to another country because South Africa is not doing well, we haven't gotten to that point yet. Yeah.
See, most people now also think like South Africans don't like to get married from other countries. Is that true?
Look, from a personal experience, I haven't seen much. Yeah, and obviously you can't beat me about that, because I haven't been introduced to so many cultures, like in terms of diversity, but I haven't seen much. But I've seen maybe at least let's say 10% of people who have married into other countries. But obviously I think it has a lot to do with stigma. It has a lot to do with stigma. A lot of people still think that, look, if I marry into a Nigerian, then well, what will happen? Some people will judge me and stuff. But if we can correct that in terms of stigmatism, then I believe everybody will start to have the mentality of knowing that, look, she might be a Nigerian, but I don't care, man. I love her. So we can establish a family with her and then continue and move on with life. So my point is, let's just correct the stigmatism, and then I believe everything will be fine.
I love that. Then what about you? What do you have to say about
I also believe that it's the stigma, because it's difficult for example, a South African woman who says that I'm marrying a Nigerian man. It looks like it's for the money. because they are well known in South Africa that they are for the money. Yeah, so it's difficult to. It's the stigma around it. If you marry someone from another country, it's usually put as you're a gold digger.
I love that. I love that. And Isila, maybe that point you made, because we have been hearing that a lot. You
Yeah.
understand? Isila, maybe if you check what is happening around the internet, you find that maybe if a lady from South Africa get married to Nigerian, most people now will be complaining and calling her many names.
Yes.
Some people now will say she's there just because of the money,
yeah.
not because of love. Then what do you guys think about that? Are they there?
For me, actually, that is crazy because.
Yeah.
I mean, Nigerian people live in South Africa, so if you meet someone, there's already that boundary that it's difficult for me to date you because now you're from another country. People will think that I'm a gold digger, but you maybe genuinely love the person and you want to be with them. But it's that persona that you, that type of girl, that says, no, I'm going to date a Nigerian guy. Hey, she for the streets.
Then
It's a crazy persona.
why?
I don't know. I think when people from other countries came here, they had money and they got young girls and things like that, and a lot of young South African people were attracted to them because of the lifestyle that they live. Because we all know that Nigerian people flash, more with money and things like that. You understand? So I think that's where the persona comes from. Yeah.
Wow. Then what do you guys? Okay, this question I want to ask is a little bit crazy, though.
Okay.
Okay. What do you guys now think about Nigerians?
Nigerians.
Yeah.
Look, personally, if I think about Nigerians, I think of Aliko Dangote,
Yeah.
#1 billionaire in Africa.
Yeah.
That's what I think about. Forget what is actually happening here. Obviously, we need to eradicate some of the irregularities which are happening. I do understand that. But when I think of Nigerian, I think of the #1 billionaire in Africa. So that's who I want to be.
What do you think about Nigeria?
To be quite honest with you, on a blanket approach, Nji, when in South Africa, when you're trafficking and things like that. So, but I do have a friend that is from there, and he's doing great things. In South Africa, he has an NPO. He helps children with autism. He donates in schools. He's not a rich person. He does help the community. So I'm not going to say I think I just look at them as normal human beings that are in South Africa. Yeah.
I love that. Then what advice will you guys now give anybody who will come across this video?
Look, #1, we focus on education. Why do I believe education is important? It's because once you decrease the quality of education, you tend to have doctors who can't operate. A lot of patients dies in those doctors. You tend to have engineers who can't think critically. A lot of buildings fall in those engineers. So a lot of things tend to happen. But if you can educate yourself and not focus on stigma, in other words, I'm saying I'm not gonna judge you because you say you're Nigerian, but what's your contribution that you have towards South Africa? So that's the main question that most people should have. What's your contribution that you have towards Africa? And then we'll judge you based on that. We judge you based on merit, not based on what most people say.
I love that. What about you?
For me, I believe that if we would unite as Africa, it would be greater than any other continent, because the most skill sets is here, the most materials are here, the smartest people are here, one of the first billionaires are here. So I believe that if we would remove the stigma of saying you are from here and you're from here, and we would combine skill sets, we'd actually have a great a continent that would better us as the Black society. Yeah.
I really appreciate.
You're
In case you guys now want to watch this, you can just check us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Mr. Easy TV.
No,
I appreciate, guys.